You have this new piece on Substack that the USAID and the CIA helped orchestrate Trump's impeachment.
Yeah, I mean, Jesse, it's a crazy story. I mean, you might forget that, the House of Representatives impeached President Trump in December of 2019. Many people may not remember that it was a CIA analyst who was left over from the Obama White House who wrote the memo that led to the impeachment. It was all based on hearsay. The person had not actually been in the room with Trump. Nonetheless, this memo that he wrote relied heavily on a report done by an organization funded by USAID. In fact, its initial founding funding, I mean, now it's tens of millions of dollars, had gone into this group called the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, a name that's not very memorable, OCCRP, but it was basically created as an extension of the State Department and then of USAID. And as you know, Jesse, this is very serious to be involved in an effort to do regime change at home, as we've been discovering as the files have come out with what Elon Musk has been doing. We know that USAID was really about regime change abroad. It was a kind of public-facing part, regime change operation like CIA, but not covert, more overt. Well, now you see a similar blowback, just like they did censorship abroad and brought censorship tools back home. They were doing this sort of thing abroad, creating a predicate, essentially, for Trump's impeachment.
What the hell just happened last night? All the credit in the world to Michael Shellenberger. This new angle to an old story is such a massive piece of the puzzle that, the puzzle didn't make sense until this big, huge piece was plugged in. So now we know that USAID was basically funding regime change in the United States to get rid of Donald Trump, taking an international pool of money where they were basically a carve-out for intel operations around the world to engage in regime change and anti-American activity overseas, that this USAID outfit money went to a media outlet, that's the one he's talking about, that produces this fake report about Donald Trump and his call to Ukraine. The fake report is then cited by the whistleblower who files a report with the Inspector General for the intelligence community, and that leads to the entire Donald Trump impeachment fiasco. The problem is the whole story's fake. The whole story's fake. The whistleblower didn't even hear the call. Now, where does the book come in? Again, the book is called Follow the Money. This project has been on my mind for, I had an episode taken off of Apple, censored because I talked about this story. If you go to page 135 of the book, I know it's hard to see there, but there's a chapter called The Mole. The Mole chapter is all about this entire thing in intricate detail, what happened. So the whistleblower that he's talking about, so follow me here. This is not complicated, but the show's a little deep today. A whistleblower calls the Inspector General of the United States for the intel community, says, Donald Trump did a quid pro quo on a call with Ukraine. The whistleblower's not on the call. The information cited in the report the whistleblower makes, that the information is taken from a USAID-funded media propaganda piece, meaning USAID and our tax dollars are funding propaganda to engage in regime change. Here's where the book comes in. This is page 136 in the chapter The Mole, talking about the whistleblower, this guy, Chiamarella. He first arrived at the White House during the Obama administration. Interesting. So he's an Obama holdover. Worked as Ukraine director on the National Security Council. Wow. Shit. I would have never guessed. The whistleblower had some interest in Ukraine, which was a piggy bank for people like Joe Biden and everyone else. Can't hurt that piggy bank. Donald Trump's asking questions about Ukraine. We better file a report. Where are we going to get the information for the report? I don't know. Maybe USAID could fund a media outlet to give us some fake shit. Oh, man. He was a Ukraine director on the National Security Council, a position later filled by our good friend Twinkies, Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman. Remember Vindman? You can call me Lieutenant Colonel. Remember him? The whistleblower, Chiamarella, a multilingual Ivy League graduate, had also worked with, no way, Dan. How did you write this in the book? Had worked with former Vice President Joe Biden and former CIA Director John Brennan. Paul Sperry has done amazing work, footnoted and credited in this book at length, by the way. One more for you. This only gets better. And by better, I mean worse. You can read the whole chapter if you like. I'm going to read the whole thing. The whistleblower here, who got his information, apparently, according to Shellenberger's reporting, and by the way, there are lawsuits threatened about this. This operation is saying this is not what happened. Let's hear from you. Send us an email. I'll read your statement on the air. Schellenberger and them are standing by their reporting. They're saying there's a connection here. We'll see what happens. It's also noted, I read in a book, that Chiamarella, the alleged whistleblower here, worked with Alexandra Chalupa. She was the Ukrainian-American consultant for the Democrat National Committee who was one of the leading mudslingers of Russiagate dirt and the rumors. Chalupa was obsessed with Manafort. She met Chiamarella, the whistleblower, at the White House as far back as 2015. Folks, is this thing all making sense now? You're not reading this, man. You're making a huge mistake. The entire book on Soros and USAID and all this other stuff, he's coming on later. If Schellenberger's reporting turns out to be accurate, I have no reason to believe it won't, that a media outlet may have been funded by USAID money to provide information that was later used in an IG report by a whistleblower, and the information turned out to be hyperbolic at best and used to impeach Donald Trump in order to protect Biden and everyone else's piggy bank in Ukraine. Folks, now do you see why Donald Trump is calling this the scandal of the century, the funding of media outlets by USAID money? Go read his True Social. Do you think this guy's an idiot?